Today, I'm going to show you the fastest way that you can build and integrate billing into your public Shopify apps. Now, I'm going to use Gadget and Mantle to do that. Gadget is a full stack development platform. It's hosted and scaled for me and will give me a Postgres database, serverless Node backend, and React frontend powered by Vite, and manages a bunch of Shopify's boilerplate for me. I get webhook subscriptions out of the box. I get a historical data sync for my Shopify data models. Gadget is going to handle things like Shopify's OAuth for me, AppBridge setup, session token management. I don't need to deal with any of that boilerplate. Mantle is going to be integrated into my Gadget app, and it will handle all of my app billing boilerplate that you normally have to set up for public apps. Mantle is going to manage all of my plans and pricing information, allows me to track revenue metrics, and more. I highly encourage you to check out their site because I think they're a must-have for any public Shopify app. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start building my truly boilerplate-free public Shopify app with Gadget and Mantle. I'm going to be following this guide here in Mantle's documentation. I've included a link in the video description. Step one here is just going to Gadget, setting up a Shopify connection. So I'll start with that. I'm going to pop open a new tab. Go to gadget.new, select my Shopify app type, click next, and give my app a domain. Call it Mantle Sample. It's sweet because it rhymes. Excellent. This is my Gadget app. This is going to give me a Postgres database, serverless Node backend, React frontend built on top of Vite. It's a full stack app development platform that I can use to build my Shopify app. I'll start by connecting to Shopify. I need to connect to the partner dashboard because I'm building a public app. So I'll just go to partners.shopify.com. I'm already on the apps page, so I can just create an app. And I'll create an app manually. Once again, Mantle Sample. And once this app is created, I can copy this client ID and secret back to Gadget. There we go. And there's my secret, and press continue. On this page, I select what Shopify API scopes and data models I want to include in my public app. I'm just going to select the read product scope. One thing I will note while I'm here is that if I select the Shopify product data model, you notice we subscribe to the Shopify product webhooks. That's something you get out of the box with Gadget. You also get a historical data sync that manages Shopify's API rate limits for you. So it'll pull all of Shopify's data into your Gadget database. You don't need to write a line of code to do it. It's great. I'm just going to deselect this product model because I don't really need it. I'm just going to set up billing for this application. I'm not actually going to build an app. So I'm happy with this setup. I'll just go ahead and press confirm. I'm going to copy my app URL and redirection URL back to my partner's app now. So I'll just copy my app URL, go to the configuration page. I'll replace it. And I'll do the same for my redirection URL. And I'll press save and release. Now I'm going to go back to my overview page in my partner's dashboard. I'm not going to install my app yet. I am going to choose my distribution, and I'm going to go ahead and click public distribution. This is a public app. I want to put it on Shopify's App Store. There we go. So now in most of my videos, I would go test my app, install it on a store. I actually want to run some custom code on shop install, so I am not going to do that yet. I'm just going to leave this as is for now. And if I go back to my guide in Mantle Stocks, that is step one. Step two is now adding my app to Mantle. So I've got my Mantle dashboard open here, app.heymantle.com. And if I click on apps, I can add an app. I'll call this Mantle Sample. This is a development app. I will select myself as the app owner, and I'm just always going to use test charges for this application. I will select the Shopify platform. Now I need to get my app ID and client ID. If you click on this little box here, you get a drop down explaining where you can grab those. The app ID is just from your partner's app URL. Client ID is available here on the overview page. So if I go back to my partner's app, this is my app ID. I'll just copy it, paste it in. This is my secret. Once again, copy it. No, not my secret. Client ID is on autopilot there. So there we go. We can see it is verified as Mantle sample. That's great. I copied things correctly. And you have some options down here. So you can not charge shops with partner test or developer preview Shopify plans. I will just select this as yes. And does this app offer a free trial? I will say yes. It begins when the customer installs the app. And I'll give a length of 7 days here. I'm happy with this, so I'm going to just save changes, which will create my app in Mantle. And now I need to add an API key, and I'll just call this Gadget Integration. Create my API key. I've got this app ID and API key. I need to set these as environment variables in my Gadget app. So if I go back to my Mantle guide, they give you 2 environment variable names. There's Gadget public Mantle app ID and Mantle API key. Let's create these in Gadget. So I'll just go back to Gadget. I'm going to press got it for now. Go to environment variables, add variable, and I'll paste this in. This is my Mantle app ID. So I'll just copy this, paste it in. Now you'll notice this environment variable is prefixed with Gadget public, and that's because we want it available in our front end. Normally your environment variables are your back end only so that you don't leak sensitive information. But this app ID, we do want it in the front end. It's not a secret, so we are prefixing it with Gadget public. The other environment variable, Mantle API key, it is not prefixed by Gadget public. We do not want access in our front end. And I will just copy my API key from Mantle here into Gadget, press the lock to make it a secret, and save these changes. So now my environment variables have been added to my Gadget environment. Note that environment variables in Gadget are environment specific. So if you create a new environment, you'll need to set these up in your other environment as well. Excellent. So now that was step 2 of my guide. Step 3 is adding the Mantle package. That's going to be the node package to my Gadget app. So I'm just going to go back to Gadget. I'll close this modal. I'm going to open the command palette. That's Command P on a Mac. Enter command mode and go yarn add hey Mantle Polaris. And this will install the Mantle npm package for me. You can see, like I mentioned before, Gadget is built on Node. We do have a package.json file here. So I'm just going to go ahead and install this. While this is installing, let's just flip back to my instructions. I can see that the next step is adding a Mantle API token field to my Shopify shop model. So here we go. We're installing. We got the green check mark. That looks good. If I check out my package.json, I can see, hey, Mantle Polaris is there. So the next step was adding a custom field to my Shopify shop model. So when I created my connection to Shopify, it gave me a GDPR request and shop model by default. We add them every time you connect to Shopify. I can go to my schema page here, add a field, and just Mantle API token. I'll just leave it as a string for now. I'm happy with it. Don't need to make any other changes. So that's fantastic. That was step 4. Step 5 is now adding some custom code to some of my Shopify shop actions so that it registers the store that has installed my app with Mantle. The first step here is adding a helper file at api/services/mantle.js. I'll just copy the code snippet, go back to Gadget. API is my backend in Gadget, web is my front end. So we just want to create a new folder called services. And then we have our folder here. Let's go mantle.js and paste in the code. All this is doing is setting up a Mantle client. You can see we're importing it from that hey Mantle client package that's included with hey Mantle Polaris. I'm using both of my environment variables to set up this client. And then I have this identify shop function. I'm just getting some information from the current Shopify shop, and I am identifying that on my Mantle client. Finally, I'm calling my internal Gadget API to get the API token from the result of this identify function call, and I am storing that on my Shopify shop record in Gadget. So this is just storing the API token and registering the store with Mantle. Fantastic. So that means each shop is going to have a unique API token we use to manage the billing plans. And then I need to go ahead and import this helper in my install, reinstall, and update actions on my Shopify shop. So I'm going to do this piecemeal. I'll do the import statement first. Let's just paste it in here. I'm going to import the Shopify shop function. There's install, reinstall, and update. And then probably could have just wrote this out, but in my onSuccess function, I'll just call that identify shop function with my record and the API. And the record is going to be the current shop. Okay, fantastic. So that takes care of step 5 for us. That is the custom code I want to run on my install action. That's why I didn't install my partner's dashboard right away. Now we need to do some front end work. Step 6 of this guide is adding the MantleProvider to my Gadget front end. So like I mentioned before, my Gadget front end is in that web folder. I'm just going to start by copying my import statements. I'm going to go back to Gadget, go to the web folder, components, app.jsx, and I will paste them in. So you can see we're getting the MantleProvider from a Hey Mantle React package. I'm also getting a useFindFirst hook from the Gadget Inc. React package. So Gadget does provide hooks that you can use to interact with your app's API client. We already have an API client set up for you by default. You can see we're importing it here from API. API.js exists in the web folder. That just gives you access to your current app's API. I'm going to go ahead and copy this embedded app component. Search for it. There we go. And I will just replace this embedded app component with the sample from the Mantle guide. And all we're doing here is we're using this useFindFirst hook to get my Shopify shop. So this is just going to get the current shop that I have installed on. I get a data object and a fetching Boolean. So fetching is just being used to show a loading spinner. The data is being used to get that Mantle API token that was generated by our custom code on our Shopify shop actions. And then we're using that publicly available environment variable to pass in the Mantle app ID. Because I'm just using this Mantle API token, actually, I can also add a clause in here so that I just select the Mantle API token instead of my entire shop object. So it just only selects this one field instead of the entire shop. This is all the same down here, this nav menu for now. We're going to edit it eventually when we add a plans page, but not quite yet. So we're actually at a plans page. We're going to modify it very shortly. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and add some plans in my Mantle dashboard. So if I go back to Mantle here, you see now that I've created an app, I have this plans page and I can go ahead and add the plans for my app subscription. So I'll add a plan. I like basic. We will give it a trial period of 7 days. I can enter a description, just the basics. Let's make it $10 a month. You can differentiate on features. You can do usage-based charges. So if you're building an app that you want to charge per order or per product, you can implement that. I'm not going to do that for now. You can also change the availability of this plan. I'm just going to leave it to public for now, but you can make it, special plans for specific customers that are tagged a certain way. It's really flexible how you define these plans. One of the great parts about Mantle. I'm happy with this. I'm just going to click add plan. I see my basic plan is created. Let's create one more. Let's create a pro plan for pros. What a great description. Let's make it a trial period of 7 days again. Let's do $25 a month for this. I'll leave everything else as is and add this plan. So now I have 2 plans here created in Mantle, and I want to display these plans in my front end so that merchants can go ahead and subscribe to either basic or pro. And that's what step 7 is going to be. So I'm going to create a new route, plans.jsx. In my Gadget app, my routes are defined here in my web routes folder. I already have about an index, so let's go ahead and add plans.jsx. Paste in the code. This code is pretty simple. It's using couple Shopify Polaris components to handle the page and layout. It's using the AppBridge React title bar just to show the select a plan title for this page. We have a use navigate hook from React Router DOM. We're just using that for navigation. From the MantleProvider React package, we have this useMantle hook. The useMantle hook is awesome. It gives me access to things like the current customer, what plans are available, the current subscription, if any is active. Makes it really easy to build public apps. You can do things like gate or check for a free trial. You can gate by features. You saw a little banner in the plan creation page in Mantle. It really is wonderful. Everything you need is in this useMantle hook. It's giving me customer plans and a subscribe function that I am calling down here. Finally, MantleProvider Polaris gives me a couple components I'm using to actually lay out the cards on this plan page. So this will actually give me cards. On select plan, I'm calling that subscribe callback, passing in my plan ID, any discount ID if one exists, and a return URL. And then it's giving me the subscription, and I am just redirecting to a confirmation URL and kicking off Shopify's billing flow. That's fantastic. I need to go ahead and now add this plans route to my app.jsx file. So I can just go ahead and go import plans page from routes plans, which is great. I can go ahead and add my plans route to my router plans page, and then I can also add it to my nav bar down here. Plans and plans. That's fantastic. So you notice that we are done our guide here. So let's test this out. I'm going to go ahead and install my app on a store. Choose test with sample data. Install. Gadget's handling all of Shopify's OAuth for me. Gadget's handling Shopify's AppBridge setup and session token management. So I can just install right away, and I'm really good to go and start building my public app. You notice my plans page is available. This is actually your index.jsx file. You can see this page is powered by routes.index.jsx. So this is hosted by Gadget. Go to my plans page. I have my plans cards, and I can actually go ahead and kick off my subscription flow. I'm going to go ahead. It's just going to be a test charge. I can approve it. And I am now subscribed to this plan. That's great. So that was setting up an end-to-end public app using Gadget and Mantle. Now all I need to do is build my app. I don't need to deal with any of Shopify's boilerplate. I handled it all in under 20 minutes. I'm just going to quickly show you how you can use some of Mantle's features here. So if I go back to my index.jsx route, what I can do here is just check to see if I'm on a free trial. If I am, I will display a green banner. So I actually already have a banner here. You can see we're just using it to show kind of the current Gadget app. I'm going to just replace this title and say, you are on a free trial. And I can just wrap this. I'm going to use the useMantle hook. So I'll just copy over this import statement from my plans page. So I'm going to use this useMantle hook to get my current subscription. Const subscription equals useMantle. That's excellent. And then I can go down here and I can only add this layout section. I can go subscription.active. So if the subscription is indeed active, and we'll have a little conditional statement here. We can have the current date is less than subscription trial expires at, and I'm just going to wrap this. So Mantle does handle my free trial dates for me. I get this trial expires at, and then what I can do is just wrap this layout section. So now I'm just going to refresh my page. Gadget does have hot module reloading, but there's a 3-minute timeout. So if I don't make any changes, it will time out on me. If I go back to my main page, you are on a free trial. So it is visible because I still am on my trial. So if I go ahead and use a custom date for this, let's go, 2024-05-0 01. That's going to be May the 1st. So that's now outside of my trial period. My trial is expired. It's not going to show you are on a free trial. In fact, I could say your trial has expired and prompt my merchants to select one of my paid plans. So the useMantle hook allows me to do a whole bunch of things like this. Check out their API documentation for more information. It really is a great way to manage your public app billing when you're building Shopify apps. If you have any questions about what I built today, check out the Mantle guide, the Gadget docs, the Mantle docs, or join Gadget's developer Discord and ask us. Until next time, I hope you keep building more and coding less with Gadget.